Growth House Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Here with Dan and Glace.
Matt Stransky.
Randy Hambright.
Woohoo! Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to uppercut the like, elbow the subscribe, knee whatever other notification
Drop kick
button,
it,
drop
knee
kick
it, smash
home
it.
run bat, whatever you got to do to make sure
Please.
you're up on the greatest growth in the nation. This week, we're
world.
talking about self-doubt. Self-doubt is our topic this week. So
Fun one.
everybody has a little bit of a voice in their head that tells them that they can't do something. At least I know that I do. So what triggers self-doubt? What gets you started? What's something that, like, as soon as you're like, okay, I got something to go,
Sure.
that other guy is like, hey, no, you don't. You know what I mean?
I do. I do know
Sorry
what
if
you
I
mean.
put that like an idiot.
Nah, I got that, right? Yeah, what triggers self-doubt? Growth,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think that's probably the biggest trigger, meaning when something is about to grow, right, something else has to die. And, you know, I haven't been through death, thank God, right? But, you know, with that,
This would be a
obviously that's
crazy
not a good
podcast.
alternative,
This
right?
Would be
It's
a crazy podcast
that would
if
be.
you had.
Parts of you have died.
painful. Exactly.
yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
Just like everyone.
Yeah.
I
so
watched them.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of
Continue to die, right? I
Right.
guess that's really what you want to be doing because, you know, the more something's dying, the more it's growing. But I do. I think self-doubt is triggered by growth. The uneasy feeling of being where you're at today versus the hope and the want of where you want to be in the future. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The weight of, you know, looking at the thing that you want to achieve that you've never achieved before, right? So everything inside of you is saying, hey, dude, this isn't you. You know, like, but that's how, you know, I think when you're feeling that, it's probably a good sign to keep running
Yes.
towards it, right?
Yes.
Because, like, what's the opposite? The opposite's being bored,
Yeah. Comfortable.
complacent.
Yeah. Average.
If there's nothing at stake, you're not playing a very important game,
Agree.
right?
Yeah, why wake up in the morning, right? I think, you know, especially all of us here, right? Yeah, it's that continuous pursuit of something better, right? A better person, a better realtor, a better dad, you know, father, all that. So, yeah.
Better thinker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really, for me, where it begins and ends. What are you thinking about on a moment-to-moment basis? And if you're having those feelings, are you thinking yourself through them?
Yeah, but yeah, I get where you're coming from there. I'm thinking about, like, when I have had, like, the strongest moments of, like, self-doubt is when whatever you're preparing for, it's, like, happening right now, and you've got about 5 minutes. Like,
Like right before?
I went to acting school. I was in a lot of shows and films and stuff, and, like, I was saying, you know, you just forget your lines, like, right when you get there. And
Sure.
it's like, you've been doing it for 6 weeks, you know everybody and know everybody's thing. Like, you give other people their lines, but, like, you're standing back there like, what the hell do I say? And then it's like, you know, it's like you forget it until you have to do it, and you're all like, oh, I'm good. And then it's more like the way that I feel like the best way to get rid of it is to just, like, go as fast as you can into it. Like, not into it, because if you do that, you kind of wallow, but, like, it's hard to ignore sometimes. There is, like, a physical response to certain anxieties and, you know, woes that you put on yourself. I mean, like, you wake up in the morning and feel fresh, and then you, like, hear one thing, you're like, oh, crap, I do have to deal with that and this and this and this and this and those, and then everything kind of floods in. And you can doubt what you're doing to get your goal, or you can doubt, like, what you're even on, like, you know, where you're at, and, like, figure out, you know, I had to do that where I was just like, what am I going to do? And had to make some lateral moves and figure it out. So
For sure. Agile.
yeah, you want to say, like,
Yeah.
the best way to get rid of it is to move. But
For sure. To go through it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I with the self-doubt, to me, the best thing to overcome that is to be prepared. Right? I talked to my little guy about this a lot. You know, soccer dude and obsessed and's got some pretty audacious goals, right? And I always say to him before the game, you know, you've done all the work. You've done all the work. There's nothing more you can do. Uh, as far as an 8-year-old goes, I don't think there's too many kids that outworked you. So now you just go out there and you, like you said, get into it. Let it happen. When you've got the butterflies, that's okay. Just get them all lined up in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't have a little bit of self-doubt, like Randy said, you're probably not pushing far enough. The goal isn't big enough. The pressure isn't enough. You should seek those out, right? But I think being prepared for that situation, just like you said in acting, right? I mean, you knew all the lines, right? You did all the work. You thinking, out loud, right? Where, wow, I'm helping the other people with their cues, right? You're prepared. So I feel that self-doubt creeps in when you're not prepared. And I think you can distinguish it pretty quickly when you are prepared.
Kind of going back to what you're talking about with the butterflies, right? That's, for those of you who don't know that one, that's a quote from a great book, Relentless by Tim Grover, Michael Jordan's trainer. And Michael Jordan talked about, I mean, obviously we know, like, everyone assumed the guy that never got nervous. He sure acted like it, right? Not the truth. Couldn't be further from the truth, because he acknowledged them, said, look, I'm going to feel them. Before every playoff game, before every game that matters, I'm going to feel these. But it's not the physical response that gets you. It's how you feel about that actual chemical in your body. It's like, oh, I'm nervous. I don't want to be nervous anymore. I want to stop being nervous. It's actually that continual fight with your body that I don't want to be nervous anymore. Instead of just saying, this is energy.
Yep.
Because really nervous and excited, it's all the same, but it's how you feel about it.
Totally.
And that to me, and obviously I haven't mastered that.
Who has?
And I mean, even Michael would say he didn't. Obviously, I'm nowhere near that level, but I just think there's so much power in that. And that's true with anything. Yep. The acceptance. It's like, all right, this is what's up. Don't freak out. We used to play ball, and for those of you that don't know, me and Matt played a lot of basketball together. I'm horrible, but he taught me. He's like, dude, just don't freak out. He's like, most people are playing an emotional game. If you're the calm one, I mean, most of the time you end up winning.
Totally, yeah. The calm mind prevails, right? And self-doubt, like we said, it's a good trigger, right? It's telling you that you want to be somewhere else.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And just like Randy said, it's handling that. And it really is chemicals, right? I mean, it's these things swirling around in your body, right? Your cortisol goes up, right? All these types of things, but it really isn't an emotion. And emotions can be controlled, right? And, some silly techniques, and going back to my boy, right? How do we handle that? My luck, my little guy's lucky he gets to take the majority of the free kicks and the PKs and, some set pieces. And, that's pressure for a little 8-year-old, right? And that's what we talk about.
Yeah.
Hey, breathe your way through it, right? One of the trainings he does, it's called 617, right? And it's building this rhythm of breathing, right? And then the other thing I've talked to my son about is, man, it's a blessing, right? It's a privilege to feel pressure. Right. And a lot of people don't like that feeling because it's very uncomfortable. It raises these emotions, these chemicals within you that your body is actually created to stop you from.
Yeah.
Right. It's fight or flight, and obviously it's trying to protect you. But just like Randy said earlier, when you feel uncomfortable, when you feel the fire, run through it. Just like Dan said, right? You're in the right place, because on the other side of that is something brand new, and likely pretty exciting.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say that my experiences with self-doubt came on really suddenly. I felt really confident for a long time, and then I was thinking in the middle of college, really, maybe the beginning of college is when I just kind of was really in my own head a lot. And I mean, I was looking around. I compare myself a lot to other things. So it's just oh, you're not a millionaire, 19-year-old. Why don't you just quit now?
Well, comparison's the thief of joy. That will create a lot of self-doubt. I mean, you look at Instagram.
Yeah.
You look at Facebook. It's everybody's W's.
And there's somebody,
and then you're taking everyone's best, everyone's W, and then comparing it to your L, and oh shit, I'm the only guy losing in the block, the system, the country, all this. You create that, but it's I don't think it's a bad thing. And Randy and I were talking about this earlier. I don't think it's a bad thing to compare yourself to people. I think it's important, right? In regards to find someone you want to be like, right? And
find something they're doing.
Yeah.
That also interests you.
For sure.
Like that's like we said before, like we were talking about show ideas and like envy, and like that kind of is the bud of desire, which leads to, a goal, right? Like it's okay. But you definitely don't want to get stuck in the part where it's like, oh, I'm bad. I'm not as good. I don't deserve it. I'm not there yet. So therefore, like, I mean, it's natural.
Yeah.
To feel those things.
When you are feeling those things, what do you do to break it? How do you stop spiraling? I've gotten a little.
Honestly,
better
talk with your friends. I mean, that's really what this is about.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like just being here and talking about this stuff, like it's not easy. None of this is easy. It's not like natural thinking. If it was, the world will look a lot different. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned some things before on the cast, right? But I think it's true. Knowing that the chemicals are, going the wrong way. Something as simple as turn some good music on. For me, it might be some EDM. It might be something just a little more high energy, right? So change your personal energy.
Movement of any sort, working out.
Yes.
Force yourself to work out.
Yes.
Any way possible.
Yeah, the chemicals, that's it, right? I mean, that's a way to flush them for sure. Get on the Peloton, lift some weights. But going back to what Randy said, it really is having that support system, right? And let's also acknowledge what a strong human it takes to go talk to somebody about the self-doubt you're having, right? I mean, that's an awesome thing, right? I mean, in my real estate career, I've been lucky. I've been around the best, and then everyone from top to bottom, right? And there's a lot of people that I've been around that are posers, right? And what I mean by posers is they're always trying to come off like they're winning, that they're never doubting themselves, that they have all the answers, right? I mean, right away, that's the furthest from the truth, right? And then those other folks, right, the winners, right, the people that are continuing to grow, right, they're talking about those, right? So when you're hearing somebody
that's
talk
usually
about
what they won't shut up about.
Exactly, because they want to get through it, and they want to get through it fast,
and they're feeling it.
Exactly.
They haven't gotten there fast enough.
And then what's great about being around folks like that is these are kind of likely next hurdles for us, right? Like as we're aspiring to get to that level, right? So it also is a way to divert those, but being in a group that's willing to talk about that, someone like, the three of us, right? Like being vulnerable, I think gets you out of self-doubt a lot quicker. Cause let's face it, Dan, right? I mean, me too. When you're in that moment, you feel it's, woe me. I'm the only guy that's feeling this way. Yep. I'm the only person this has ever happened to, and obviously it's never been the case, right? So, that support system, workout, get the energy moving. When your mind's a little messed up, you have to do something physical, right? I'm a really big proponent of that. I think instantly it takes you to a different place.
A good one that I like, and it sounds dark, but it's really not, is if you could just take yourself to your dying day, right? Hopefully we all get to the point where we're
to 103,
dying of natural causes. Let's all assume, like you got your family there. You look back on your life. What do you want to? What story do you want it to be? You know what I mean? Like what's important? What do you want to accomplish? Because it's it'll be the saddest story not to try.
For sure.
Whatever it is, right? Like,
sure.
I'd rather just sit there like, man, I went for it. Like.
Yeah. And how boring. I mean, again, like if it's the opposite, it's hard for me to see that side where, what am I waking up for? If I have it all, and then if I don't have it, like, so I think it's more about the journey than it is the outcome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, going back to yours, right, about acting, right? I mean, knowing the actor you are, right? Knowing the stand-up comedian, right? You're becoming, like, you go through that, right? So maybe in those two instances, talk to me about how you did overcome it, right? You were still on stage. You were still making, making it happen. What'd you do?
I completely white knuckled and had no good coping mechanisms.
And how did that go?
So
Hey, how did that go?
Good question. Yeah. So you said, we were like, just go through it, and it was like, you said something before that made me think, but what about the next time? Because every time it would happen.
Mm-hmm. Does that help you perform? Did that help?
Never one time.
It didn't. Okay.
No, I had like a pretty negative. I think there are people who like figure out how to like productively get it, and to me it was like a obstacle or a combatant.
Was it the line memorization specifically?
No, that was easy. It was like a thing in my head that was stopping me from doing what I felt like I knew was right. What's this guy doing? What's he moving? How's he doing it? And I would like I would like do something else or half do it or like be unable to do it. I was like paralyzed. And like that to me like was something different than like the self-doubt thing. And that was like, it took a long time to wrestle out of me. And you try a bunch of different ways to fix it. Some of them are not very good or productive, and they're, temporary Band-Aids. And it's like, you got to, use its art. You can use it to help, is kind of what I figured out. Whereas, like, if I've got this thing in me that's like this tornado or whatever that it's like I'm ignoring, like, I bet that might be something that people feel and something that people might want to see and like kind of have. So it's like, it's not that they want to do it. It's more like it is a little selfish, but it is like, for this, I'm going to just kind of help myself a little bit and like use this section. And, you watch a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of Shakespeare in school, and a lot of Shakespeare is very, it's a lot of words and it's very breathy, and there's a lot of performance in how people do it where they're like, to be or not to be. But it's like, if you say it and like feel it, you're like, he's like, walking around like, should I just, why do we have to be alive? It sucks. Some people get fucking lucky, but they're just lucky, and there's nothing to it. And it's a little more like, you've been there. So that's kind of where I feel like when you are too busy thinking it through and doing it is when you can turn off that voice that's telling you,
sure,
you're this or you're that.
Do you know what I totally, yeah. So you're in it, you're doing it. Now you don't have the capacity to think about it, right? Is what you're saying. Yeah. And that goes back to what Randy said, run through it. And I think what you did, because the success you had with it also falls back on what we said earlier, you were prepared.
Sure.
You were prepared. If you weren't prepared, and that's
where a lot of it comes from too.
Yes.
You can double down where you're like, it's just going to make me sick to try.
Yeah.
And then you're double sick the day of because you're like, okay, maybe
you didn't prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, going back to my little guy, a lot of people think that like I push him, and I'm at a point now with him where I'm putting him in situations to challenge him for sure, but he's, it's on him, right? And I always say to him, son, I could really, and I say I want him to be successful, but I'm really not that concerned all the time how he does in the game, right? Like I always tell him, son, I'll never be mad at you in the game, like, dude, go out there and have fun. I said, where I'll critique you and where I'll push you is when you're practicing.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's everything.
It is.
Right? That's where you build the grit, the determination. And then if, especially, where he hopes to play, right? That's where it's built, right? I mean, the goals are created well before they touch the back of the net. It's in all the work. But then that's what I tell him, son, then when you go to game day, don't be nervous. Go out there. And even if you mess up shit, who cares? Because you're prepared.
Yep.
It's going to happen. So I think that preparedness, and I'm sure that's what allowed you to get in the fire. Think about if you didn't know your lines.
No,
I couldn't think anything worse, man. I mean, I couldn't get on stage first, but you're out there and you don't. I mean, dude,
you're a natural performer, man. You're a natural performer.
Maybe weirdo, but not.
Well, the more times you get out there, whether it's a different stadium or a different team, a different arena, and when it comes to an athlete or like, I listen to a lot of podcasts that talk with comedians that talk, and there's like, just get up 5 days a week. You need every kind of audience, every kind of heckler, every kind of situation where a waitress drops an entire thing and it knocks you off your. Because a lot of times, if if you're so experienced and you're so confident that you could take that thing that usually would throw you off and then turn it into another thing that's funnier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it's how do you handle that situation?
Yeah, athletes talk about being in the pocket, or musicians talk about being
Yeah.
in the pocket, and it's the same thing. When you're in the pocket, you're just like, you can even like come like off and be like, what happened? You can
After
like,
100 gigs, I know after
100
100 gigs, I remember, you know, it's just like you're just up there. You're not thinking about it anymore.
Totally.
You've seen it, you know, like it's just being up there doing it as much as possible.
And isn't that the
Preparation.
dangerous part? That's actually the dangerous part. Because now I'm good.
Yeah.
Fuck, you know, now are you going to grow?
Right.
Are you willing to have some self-doubt?
You're gonna have some even after you grow. It's guys. Is it?
Yeah.
You know, this is where we're coming full circle here.
It's kind of
is it part of it?
Yeah.
You have to have some if you're gonna
do.
get better, don't you?
I do, and you know, obviously it's the kickoff of the new year here, right?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year,
Year.
everyone.
But you know, right? I mean, I think the first thing I always feel every New Year is excitement, for sure. You know, very optimistic. And then about 45 seconds after that, it's self-doubt, right? And me and Randy and you have talked about it many of times, right? There's another book by Tim Grover that we love called Winning. And my favorite chapter in that book, man, go check it out. It's called The Bus Ride Back to Hell.
Yeah.
Okay, and anyone that's an entrepreneur, a salesperson, someone that's eating what you kill.
Anybody that's competitive at all, really,
Yeah.
you know, where you have to win.
Yep, this bus ride, right? Basically what Tim says is, you know, you go in, you win the championship, confetti comes down, party, you know, everyone's patting you on the back, man. Probably not a higher feeling, right? I mean, just cloud nine, you know. Then they come in the back of the arena, man. Bottles are being popped. Everyone's excited. Oh, this is great, you know. And then they change. Okay, now everything starts to dim, right? It starts to fade. There's less people patting you on the back, right? And then as these folks make their way down the tunnel, and the bus ride's about to take them back to the hotel, right on the side of the bus, that's what he says, is it's the bus ride back to hell.
Yep.
And where that self-doubt comes in is, man, I got to do this all over again, right? I got to create this success in 24 that I had in 23, right? And the real question is, are you willing to be prepared? Are you willing to put in the work, right? That's where the self-doubt comes in, especially if you've tasted success, because now you know what it takes. And that's what I always tell my son, right? I was like, son, the hardest part isn't about being the best, it's staying there, right? It's staying there because it takes a tremendous mind frame to willingly and wantingly go through the pain of growing, right? Because yes, self-doubt is part of that, right? That's the first part of trying to reach a new level. Can I really do this?
Yeah.
You know, my little guy, can you really be a pro soccer player? We'll see.
Things improve accordingly too. Like
Mhm.
when somebody makes particular strides in whatever field, 5 more people get like, I'm better than him, and then get hungry, and then they get up there, and then it just keeps going. And
Love it.
That's how things get better, and it's not. It's like
I'm
not the
talking to my
most
son about.
comfortable,
I'm
but
talking.
It is the way it is.
It is.
And it's
I
better to put your
sorry.
doubts and ugliness into something else and be like, I'm competing against this because I think mine's more positive rather than just eating it.
Well, and what I was going to say to piggyback that, you know, again, other people doing other things to catch you. That's what I talk about with my son is, and you know, we like to tease each other. What's the kid in Spain doing? What's that kid doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's he doing? Not the guy in your club.
He's not playing his PS5, that's for sure.
Right? You know what I mean?
He
So
smokes cigarettes probably.
right.
Takes a nap at,
Well,
takes a nap at noon.
I've seen the footage, and they're playing a lot of soccer. That's for
Okay,
sure.
okay,
But to that point, you know, that someone's working, son.
Yeah.
You know, and as an 8-year-old, it's cool to watch him take that. It's cool to watch him, you know, ponder some of the stuff that Dad's given him. But hell yeah, you know, I know on our real estate team, that's how we feel. You know, like every year, it's like, yeah,
But
man, you know,
that's
we did
true
it.
purpose, though, man.
Yeah.
And kudos to him at such a young age to feel the purpose towards that and not looking at it like, oh, well, I'm missing out.
Sure.
He's not missing out on anything. He's getting everything.
Yeah.
He's getting it through he's already got purpose.
For sure.
At least at this stage, you know.
Exactly. I mean, I love him,
yeah.
I believe in him, all that. But you know, like a fart in the wind, man. He's 8. It could all change. But regardless, and you know, I've talked to people about this. Regardless,
his acting degree.
There you go. But regardless, and why I'm so proud of him and my little guy too, Parker, because he's starting to do it. Even let's say at 12, and whether they're great or not, they decide to do something else. They built all these skills.
Yeah.
Right. They know what it's like to work hard. Right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things that I tease my 8-year-old now is, hey man, I just want you to understand, if you want to be a professional entrepreneur, or you want to be a professional employee or whatever your route is, you are going to work your tail off. So the real choice you have, son, is, would you rather play a game and try to, while the timing is right, while, you're still young, or later in your life, do you want to work that hard? Because
those skills are super transferable.
Yeah, yeah, they were for me. I talked about my biggest failure as an athlete is what landed me in this chair, right? I mean, but it's also what's helped me build businesses and overcome problems and situations.
Mm-hmm.
And
how many homers did you crack when you were playing baseball?
Oh God, not many. I was not a home run hitter. I was a middle infielder, a slap hitter. You put me on first, and I just ran. But no, lifetime dingers. A very, very impressive 14.
Whoa!
Back in the steroid era of the 90s.
Yeah, definitely wasn't on the juice, but yeah. Yeah, next topic. No one cares.
Nice. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks very much today.
This has been a good one.
I think so. I felt I got a lot out of it. You were talking about the therapy thing at the beginning, and I was like, all right. And then you guys went in on me. But
and yeah, we got it. Like, it's legit now. We got a sweatshirt.
Do you get it?
If you want a sweatshirt,
there it is, Danimal. I see it.
Do you see?
And we're back.
That's not annoying.
Awesome, guys.
That was awesome. Well, thanks for everything. And make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. And we're coming at you.
We'll be on Apple Podcasts soon, too. Absolutely. So you don't have to look at Matt's face.
Thank
Peace.
God.